So here's a little story. In 2020, is January of 2020, right after the holidays, my daughter, Stephanie, got a Peloton for Christmas. And I didn't know much about them at the time, and I quickly learned the subscription model. It's kind of an interesting business model. Well, I get the Wall Street Journal. A couple weeks later, I saw an article about Peloton being questioned on their earnings for 2020. In Q1, they had projected higher than normal earnings in their earnings report. They were typically getting around 4 to 5% growth, and in that particular quarter, they were estimating a 12% growth, 3 times what they would normally get in a normal quarter. So the Wall Street Journal article talked to the CEO of Peloton and asked him, why are you giving these extreme numbers? And what they talked about was some marketing techniques that they were using, they were having a lot of success with. I didn't go into too many details about it, but what I found out is that the CMO of Peloton had figured out what's called programmatic advertising, the ability to target people where they're at the right time, at the right place, digitally. And what they found was they found the floor plans of the major healthcare gyms like Lifetime Fitness and all these places. They all had these areas where they did cycling classes in their gyms. And they found out that Lifetime Fitness only has 3 floor plans that they use in any city. So they found out the locations, they do a geofence around the cycling room, and they were able to day part it, which means they only fenced it for times when they were doing cycling classes. And what happened, if Corey Winger goes into a cycling class one morning, and he's always got his phone on him or his iWatch or something, he goes into his class, and he's in there spinning. Well, he got fenced, he got tagged, he got targeted by Peloton because he was there with his mobile device, and he started seeing ads for Peloton. And Corey started figuring out after going to these spinning classes, I don't have to get up at 6 o'clock anymore. I can just rent a Peloton and have the same experience at home. And dang, I can buy a Peloton. And so Peloton caught onto this 3 years ago. And I started reading that, and I was like, well, how in the hell are they doing that? And so that got my interest up in programmatic. I started researching a couple years ago. It was $35,000 minimum to get into a campaign in programmatic. Today, that price point's way lower. It's about $10,000. But since Towne has aggregated a bunch of accounts, we now are way over that, and we're now selling programmatic advertising. So this presentation is about what that is, how it works, the tactics that we use to target people. And I'm going to start by saying, what's a magazine guy that kills trees for a living? What are you doing selling digital? And why are we even here this morning? Well, my background is I did lead generation. I had a .com startup. I had a publishing company. So way back in the late 80s, early 90s, I started a publishing company in my garage. I spun it off. I've been self-employed since 93. In 96, I built the first e-commerce website in the state of Indiana, according to iQuest, which was the only bandwidth in town back in the day. And I started a .com in the late 90s. I sold both my .com and my publishing company in 2000, started consulting. What I was consulting on and what people were interested to hire me to do was doing local websites. My .com was more of we had partnerships like Sprint and AOL Time Warner and Comcast. We were building local broadband portals back in the late 90s, which 20-some years ago was a big deal. Everybody thought the last 10 feet of an experience was going to happen on a computer. Well, now it's all streaming television, right? So we saw that 25 years ago, built a portal for that. So in the process of that consulting, I started doing lead gen consulting. For those of you who don't know, lead generation consulting is basically what we're doing this morning, trying to get leads through the internet that we can go sell something. And I had a couple pretty large clients I was working with. We talk about keywords, we talk about landing pages and things. Corey was a guy I hired back in 2005 to do all the SEO. I figured out really quick that there's a lot more to it than I wanted to spend time on. So Corey became my SEO guy. And then pay-per-click was something I had off the ground. I was working in the pay-per-click, the Google ads, which was way harder back then than it is today. But nevertheless, we outsourced that as well. And then I just kind of oversaw the lead gen to make sure we're getting content, we're getting the right people, we're converting at a good rate. That's my background. This Towne thing just kind of started in my 4th bedroom of my last house I was in. So it wasn't the first one I started my publishing company. This was my second house. And the idea with this was to do a local website that would have a local magazine and serve a community. Now, we've talked a lot this morning, you've heard it from all the speakers, about trust, about people who have to like you, have to know who you are. Nobody's going to click on an ad that they've never heard of. I don't know about you guys, but I bought a couple of things around the holidays on Instagram that looked really cool, and I bought them, and they showed up in like February from a boat from China, and they weren't even close to what I thought I bought back in December because I did an impulse buy. When you're buying things locally, you're trying to go to a new chiropractor, you're looking for a home painter, you're looking for a new roofer. The quality of that person matters to you. And so you're going to do a little research. And so the more touch points you can have with people, put a magazine in your mailbox. People trust magazines. They still read magazines. Believe it or not, they still read them. And if they recognize your ad and then they see a digital display ad or they see a billboard, they see something, they're more likely to respond to you. So this is what got me excited about digital, is it kind of brings my whole circle full circle. It brings my whole service of not only providing a magazine that gets direct mailed into neighborhoods around Indiana and Kentucky, but it also gives me a website and a portal and a directory that I can leverage for my customers to help them get more clients. If you guys notice, a couple years ago, right before COVID, we relaunched townpost.com as a local search directory. That's what it's called. And it was all because of all of this. You guys can all have free listings on that site, and most of you already have listings on there. But those backlinks to you, those reviews on Townpost for you, those are all helping your local organic search. It's all helping your whole strategy. And so that's why Townpost now has kind of evolved into being like a media company. We're not just in print, we're not just doing Facebook, and we're not just doing the website. We're kind of doing it all now. And that's what these guys are here for, and that's what we're here to kind of summarize for you this morning. Just a Townpost plug. We are a franchise system. We have 10 franchisees in 19 different cities in Indiana and Kentucky. We've got a couple with us today. A couple are watching online. They're up in the northern part of the state. Great people. We provide all the infrastructure on the backside, design, our editor, all that stuff is all done in-house, and then it allows them to go out and sell and be the face of their community. All the digital stuff we've talked about today and all the website stuff that we're doing is all done with corporate in Fishers. So our franchisees are not doing SEO. They're not doing Google ads. I don't think you'd want that. So that's kind of how Townpost works and operates. To kind of put some perspective on what programmatic advertising is, Adam talked about Google. The Google Ad Network reaches about 75% of the internet or the internet traffic in general. It's not just search. It's their ads, G Suite. There's all kinds of things that Google has access to beyond just the pay-per-click, the YouTube ads, all that. So when you see ads online, or if you're watching streaming television, about 75% of that inventory you're watching is coming from a Google platform of some sort. Programmatic sits on the other side. Programmatic is basically about 20 plus ad networks. And by the way, this presentation will be emailed to you afterwards. If you guys, I see you guys taking pictures, which is great. Maybe you Snapchat it to your mom or something, but this will be available afterwards, so don't worry about it. But 95% reach, so it's basically 20 plus ad networks. So it's everybody's ad network. And what they do is they have remnant inventory they haven't sold, or inventory they don't get very high cost per click on, or cost per CPM, cost per thousand on. So they open that up, and there's these software platforms called programmatic platforms that then buy that inventory and then add targeting to it. So when somebody says, well, I can put you on my website and sell you ads on my website, and well, that's great, but you're going to be on less than 1% of the internet traffic just being on their website. Or if you're talking to somebody like maybe Local IQ or some of these other local companies that are selling digital, what they call programmatic, it's through their platform. Yeah, you'll be on Wish TV. Yeah, you'll be on Gannett's website. And if I'm on USA Today, yes, I might see your ad. You may be targeted. But once I get off of those sites, I'm not going to see your stuff anymore. And so they're a very small part. And actually, Gannett and Wish TV and all those guys, they use programmatic. You can buy stuff on their platform through us with targeting, real geofencing and real targeting, and just bypass them altogether. So this is kind of the part that we're talking about. What programmatic is, by definition, is delivering the right message to the right person at the right time. It's the ultimate in targeting your advertising. How it works, Your laptops, your PCs, your mobile devices, your cell phone, everything has a unique ID, a unique IP address. You have cookie cache. You have Google's, knows what your search engine is because they're watching what you searched on your phones or on your laptops or your computers. Your streaming devices at home. 80% of America now has unplugged from cable. So 80% of America now is streaming their content through the internet. And that box and that address, that IP address, and the history of what's been on that box, what you've been watching through that internet connection, it all builds a profile about you that we can then target. And our software knows, they don't know exactly who you are, but they know where you live, they know what you looked at last, they know what your search intent is, they know what you've been looking for, and with third and fourth party data, they even know what you bought last week. You can actually go to Walmart today and buy some Towne's pills. You probably start seeing ads for a back adjustment from Lori Sealand. I know it's scary, but we're going to get through it, guys. We'll make this. So how does it target people? Where's this data come from? Well, there's really 4 main buckets of data. The first is browser behavior. We know that. What you've been searching on, what you type in, what you're doing in your browser. That's all cached in your browser, whether you like it or not. And that information is building that avatar of what you do, what you like to see, what you read. The second one is mobile and GPS location. Most people have location services turned on their phone. Some people say, I don't want to be tracked, so I turned it off. Okay, I bet you did. But I bet the minute you opened your weather app on your phone and asked for your location, you say, yeah, why not? And I bet the minute you opened up Facebook and asked for your location, I do like my Facebook app. I want them to know where I'm at. I want those ads targeted if I'm on vacation. So there are certain apps you'll probably turn location services on, even though location service is turned off on your phone. But that data is tracking you all the time. So when you go to different places, your phone is carrying with it a signature of where you are and where you've been at all times. And that data is available to us in the cloud remotely to target people based on where they've been. First party and offline addressable data. Those first party data is just audience retargeting. Geo address fencing onboards first party data activation, a 90% match rate. So this is data that we get from another source. So for example, I'm not going to name any names, but we're talking to a client that does oil changes. You guys can all imagine who that might be, and there's several of them that do it. We can actually buy data that tells us who bought an oil change from their competitor 6 months ago. Now what happens with that data? Well, it's credit card data. Credit card's been selling our data for centuries. Ben Franklin had his credit card stolen. I mean, that's how long it's been going on. Well, that data now can be uploaded into the cloud, and then we can geofence or target those people based upon past history of what they bought. That could be applied to any of you people. Any of these businesses, we can use first-party data. In most cases, we probably don't. We've only used this a couple times in some programs that we've done. We can usually use some more lifestyle and audience curation stuff, which is a little easier to use and it's more readily available. But we can get that close to it. Also, offline addressable data. This is where we can use lifestyle changes. You just got a divorce. You just bought a house. You're in the market for a new mortgage. Things you're doing trigger flags in the data sphere that we can then target because you're likely to buy a home in the next 90 days because you just filed for your tax, your mortgage exemption, or you just paid off your mortgage, or something happened. It triggers you offline to put you into a profile of somebody that we can target. So this data not only is out there in the cloud, but it's also happening in real time. And it happens in a raw format. And what the software does is it aggregates it and helps us target people. You know, it's not like a mailing list you upload once and just hope it works out. This stuff is happening as it happens. The one example I've used, if you've watched my webinar before, I apologize. You're going to hear the story again. About a year ago, we've got a golden retriever. His name's River. He's 2 years old. He's a puppy, right? So we can correct a lot of things, but the one thing we couldn't get him to quit doing was humping people. I don't know if anybody's ever had a dog had trouble with humping. You can keep him in your yard with, shock collars, whatever they call those. But how do you keep dogs from humping people when they come over to your house? So we did some research. Had a friend tell us about this thing called the Mini Educator. It's a dog collar you put on your dog. It's a remote control. It vibrates. Dogs don't like vibrations on their necks. All right, I'm game. We go online, found out they're at PetSmart. Now, I buy his pet food typically at Specs. I've never been to PetSmart. I just don't like PetSmart. It's not close. So we went to PetSmart, walked in, found the mini educator, same price as Amazon. We bought the mini educator, started walking outside, get in my car. I look off to the west. It happened to be on Saturday, and my wife and I are going to go to the Symphony on the Prairie. And somehow in the span of 10 minutes, a huge dark cloud's rolling in on the west, and we're going to go to Conner Prairie in about 3 hours. I'm thinking, oh, crap, what's the weather? So I got my phone out. I pull up the weather app. I start seeing ads for Hertz collars, Purina dog food ads. These are all in my app. I hadn't even left my phone yet, and I'm still in the parking lot of PetSmart. Now, you might say, well, that's just a coincidence. No, it wasn't. I went home. I started seeing ads for these high-end dog foods where they deliver food to your front door, and it's like a week's supply of food for like $100 a week. You know, why should your dog eat this food when they can have gourmet food every week? I've started seeing all these ads on my streaming television, on my phone, on my laptop. What happened was I went into PetSmart. PetSmart and their national advertisers are geofencing PetSmarts. They know if you go to PetSmart, you probably 90% have a dog. And so guess what? Based on the purchase history of me buying a dog collar, in fact, I was at PetSmart, I got targeted. And it went on for like a week. That's happened to you. I know it's happened to all of you. You've probably been on vacation somewhere. You went down to Siesta Key for the week. You start seeing ads for these local places in your Facebook feed, and you're thinking, how they know I'm here? Well, location services. They've targeted you. They want people from out of town because they know you're probably more likely to come to their little visitors bureau than somebody who lives there all the time. So this data is real and it's live, and it's being used against us. Why not use it in our favor, right? So you can target things many, many different ways with programmatic. I'm going to go through 6 tactics in a second. But these are just some common ways we target people. If they visited your website, we can target them. Keywords are searching. So they don't have to go to Google to search you. They could be on some other search engine or just writing an email and putting in search terms. If those terms are things that we want to be found under and they fit the other profiles, we can target these people before they even hit your website. Articles and content that they read. So it's caching the verbiage on the pages that you read. If there's words on that page that I want to target somebody who's reading about this, I can target that person. The locations they visited, Specs, PetSmart, households. Again, basic census data. And it's not just basic stuff, it's everything about your house, the value of your home. If you have asphalt shingles or not, how many square feet your house is, what your property values are, what the household incomes are, how many people live in a house, how many children live in your house. One example is we had a assisted living facility here in town. They were doing open houses, trying to get people to come in and see their facility, and their target is not so much the 70-plus-year-old that lives in the basement, it's the kids upstairs that want to get the 70-year-old out of their basement. And so one of the profiles we could target is people who have an elderly parent living in their home. We did a 10-mile radius. We set up conversion zones, and we had over 40 conversions at one open house. And I'll tell you what a conversion is in a second. But again, that's based on demographic data. There's over 5,000 data points we can target through that. But buying behaviors and also events. A lot of you do conferences. I know PopCon is here, Carl. If people are going to events, let's say, for example, I'm going to use Lori because she's sitting there and she's a client. So let's say Lori is trying to get, they're in the chiropractic. They also have Nautilus Red Laser Center. But let's say there's a conference for chiropractors, and they're trying to hire more chiropractors. We can actually geofence that conference, and then everybody who goes to that conference will get tagged to start seeing ads for Sealand hiring chiropractors. That's kind of how that works. So what can you target? What can we buy through programmatic? Programmatic is very, very broad. We can do display advertising, which is mobile, laptops, and tablets. This is the least expensive one. I'm going to show you the pricing at the end. I promise transparency. And it's also the one we do the most of. Video pre-roll. You're on a website. You're watching a video of Lisa Marie coming off the Grammys. You saw a pre-roll ad for that. It lasted about 15 seconds. You couldn't skip it. That is available to us through programmatic. OTT, CTV, streaming TV videos, TV commercials. It was pretty powerful when I went home that night from PetSmart. I started seeing these Purina ads that I'd never seen before because I've been targeted. Imagine, if you will, you're not buying TV time on Channel 13 hoping it works out during the noon news. You're buying ads that only get shown to people who are targeted. They've shown a propensity to already buy what you do. They fit your profile already. They've already been filtered. And only that person in that household sees your ad, not everybody down your street who happens to be watching Channel 13 at noon. Audio streaming, podcast, we could buy inventory there as well. And social advertising, I don't push social very hard because most people have already kind of got that under control. And with Facebook's rules and the way they do things with data, there's not a whole lot we can do there. I typically try to focus on the other ones and then just try to help your Facebook ads. What people like about programmatic is the measurable results. We do have data on all the things that we're doing. In most cases, you'll have a dashboard. It's a link. This is an example of the top part of the report. But it'll show you how many impressions have been served, how many clicks, what your CTR, click-through rate is, how many conversions you have. As you scroll down this report, it'll tell you where the conversions were, where the audience came from, what geofence were they in, where they came in and converted. And what the software does, the platform that we use in the cloud that does all this, it uses AI to make the campaign even better. And what it's looking for is conversions. It's just like what Adam's looking for, what you guys are looking for. You want a conversion. And a conversion in this means somebody went to your website or they came physically into your building. That's a conversion. Foot traffic is tracked. Web conversions are also tracked. But that's the beauty of all this programmatic stuff. An average click-through rate, CTR, is about 0.09%. On average is a national average of all digital display ads. Programmatic, since it is more targeted, is almost double the national average. Most of our clients are maybe a little bit below that or above or way above the 0.17. And part of our job with the campaign is we're always trying to figure out how to make it better, maybe better creative. We A/B test things, but it does give you the real-time stats, and people love the analytics that comes with it. There are 6 main tactics that we use to target people. And we call them tactics because, well, that's what they are. We're going to go in a trench here, and we're going to try to figure out how to get you to come to my website or come into my coffee shop. These, for the most part, it doesn't cost any more to use all 6 of them. And in most campaigns, we'll use at least 5 of these tactics and maybe 6, maybe all 6. People ask, well, does it cost more if I do geofencing? No, you can geofence as many places as you want. It may not be practical to geofence a lot of places, but we can geofence as many as we want. So the main tactics are geo-targeting. Geo-targeting is an area, a zip code, a county, a state. Same as what you do on Google. You set up your geo-targeting, where you want your ads to be seen. The second is geofencing. Third, geo-addressable targeting, which is a subset of geofencing and geo-targeting. Keyword retargeting, site retargeting, and audience curation. So let me explain what these 6 mean, and I'll try to be brief. Geo-targeting, again, is zip code, 20-mile radius from my front door. You're basically saying, with this campaign, I just want to focus on this area. And inside of there, I might do a lot of different things, but this is just the general area I want to be in. It says 90% of the people keep their location services turned on, so as long as their location services are turned on and they're in this area, their phones could get pinged or their other devices could get pinged. Geofencing is the ability to go down at a much more granular level to fence something. Now, this is an example I use. Anybody ever heard of Nevermore downtown Indianapolis? I see some hands in the back. All the young hipsters go down there, right? No. What's that? We're targeting her because she lives next door. That's great. You probably saw these ads in. So what we did for Nevermore when they opened up is we went down street by street and we drew a fence where we wanted to target people. Okay? So if you drove through that with your mobile device, if you work downtown, if you're staying in a hotel and you open up your laptop, you were getting targeted to come to Nevermore. We can do this at the address level. We can do it at the conference level. We can actually manually go in and draw maps to geofence people. So you can say, well, I want this guy's backyard and this guy's front yard. We can go and draw a map, and that'd be a geofence. It's a virtual fence. We kind of pin drop it. We kind of draw the map, and it kind of builds a little octagon, and it uses GPS coordinates to give us that location. And anybody that goes in there is going to get targeted. This is really important for most of our clients because what a lot of people like to do is they want to geofence their competitors. So imagine, and Lori doesn't do this, but imagine Lori had a chiropractor office and there was 5 other chiropractors down the street. She can geofence those other chiropractors' offices. They would start getting targeted, start seeing ads to come to her place. If you have an art gallery and you know there's 5 very popular art galleries in the Midwest that people drive to, we can actually geofence those parking lots or the showrooms or the galleries. Anybody that goes into that fence could get targeted and start seeing ads to come to your place. Geofencing is being used. It's very effective. What I would say to you with geofencing is as passive-aggressive advertising as it sounds, which it is. It's like putting flyers in your parking lot of your competitors. It's not always as effective as you think, because you got to think if they're already there, they're probably not going to come to you, right? They've already been here. But if they do have some pain, and where the geofencing gets more exciting is when you start geofencing not competitors, but places people go that need you that don't even know they need you. Like in Lori's example, it might be a collision center. Somebody takes their car in to get fixed, they were in a wreck. They probably have a bad neck, they probably need a chiropractor. That's a great example of somebody we could geofence for her. With the Noon brothers over there, I guess the dad and the sons group, they do handyman services down in Louisville, Kentucky. If people are going to Lowe's on weekends, we could geofence Lowe's just on weekends. And somebody gets home and realizes that door's a little harder to put up than they thought, they might give Jim a call if they see an ad for him because they've been targeted because they were at Lowe's. Event fencing is really fun because we can do conferences, events, anything you want. So it's basically just geofencing with a start and end time. So instead of it being live all the time, we're just going to start it and end it. One of our clients is Run 317. They kind of target the younger set. It's a 3.17 mile race. It's on Thursday nights. They drink beer. They have a DJ. It's not my scene. However, if you look at the crowd up there, and there's one guy with a beard my color, but most of them are that age, but they also ran the mini marathon. So we geofenced the mini marathon start-finish line. This was downtown for about 4 hours. So if you ran through the start-finish line of the mini marathon in April, you start seeing ads to Run 317's Thursday night race series for the rest of summer. So that's one way you can do event fencing. Conferences are very effective. The one caveat with conferences or any kind of geofencing around hotels or large structures is cell quality, the signal of the cell inside the building. Now this building is 4 or 5 stories tall, concrete block walls. We're probably not getting fenced here very well because your cell signal is not that strong. It needs a good cell signal. We tried to geofence Homerama last fall, and unbeknownst to me, out in Chatham Hills where the event was hosted, the cell quality was terrible. We've had a couple home builders that have models in locations that we're trying to geofence or trying to do some conversion tracking, and the cell signal is so weak we're not getting any conversions because nothing's pinging their phones there. So I will say geofencing works as long as location services are turned on and there's a decent cell signal to tag phones. Okay, that's, yes? Yeah, so the question was, can multiple businesses geofence the same area? And the answer is yes. There's no limit to how many people could be geofencing your location. Yes? He's asking, can a person be geofenced? Essentially, is that what you're asking? So actually, I wouldn't use geofencing to target you. I would use one of these other tactics to target you because you're probably of a certain age, you're probably of a certain income, you probably live somewhere with a home that I could put a fence around. So I probably would target you differently. I wouldn't use geofencing for that. Geofencing is really designed for people coming in and out of these virtual fences to tag their phones. So if that answers your question. Geo-addressable targeting is very powerful, and it's actually really good. So think about this from a couple perspectives. Think about your customer database. You guys have a database of customers. And maybe you're in the service industry. Maybe you're an HVAC company. How powerful would it be to upload your addresses into the cloud and geofence all your customers and have them start seeing ads for you when it's time for renewal on their contract, or it's time for your HVAC system to get cleaned, or we have a new plumbing service we're now rolling out as part of our service. We're offering it to all of our customers. So that's where addressable comes in. You can also buy offline third-party addressable data and upload that, and all of those property lines get fenced as well. Now, it's really good. It's about 96% accuracy. What we're also finding is people have email addresses, but they don't have physical addresses. Does anybody here have a huge email database but don't have any addresses for any of them? Anybody? You got a couple of those. So what you can do with those, there's actually another service we can upload your email list to. It'll map it to their actual addresses, and it'll give us back about 80% of the addresses of the people you have emails for. And then we upload them, and we geo-addressable target them. The fourth tactic, this is very popular with most of our campaigns, is keyword search. We're kind of SEO nerds. I'm not as big a nerd as he is, but we like SEO, we like keywords. So basically we can upload a list of words, maybe from your Google ad campaign, or just do SEO research on our own, using our own software. We talked about SEMrush. We use SEMrush internally as well. We compile a list of phrases and words and key phrases that people, if they're searching for it, if they're reading about it, they're typing an email about it, if it's somehow in their cache, they can get targeted with never even visiting another website. So keyword search is really, really nice, especially I know there's a private school here. So people looking for, they don't even know that your school exists, St. Richard's, they don't even know it exists, or they've been by it, didn't know the name of it. They're searching for a good local, highest rated local Catholic school or Episcopal school, or I want parochial school, or whatever. If those words are in our keyword campaign and they're uploaded into a programmatic campaign, they could likely get targeted to start seeing ads for you, even though they didn't even know you existed, or they weren't even searching for you exactly. They searched for a term related to what you do. This fifth one is very, very effective. Highly recommend it. I put this on every campaign if I can. There's some places that can't add a pixel to the website. We'll talk about that in a second. But basically, if you do site retargeting, somebody comes to your website. In this example, I use Taft Law because they're my franchise attorneys. If I go to Taft Law's website, about 97% of the people leave that site and never come back. Or they just don't do anything, right? They came there, I Googled it, I found it, that looks cool, baby's crying, dinner's cooking, I gotta get going, they close it. What site retargeting does is we put a pixel, it's just an invisible piece of script, for those of you that don't know what pixels are, but it's just a little piece of code. We add it to the header file of your website, we actually will put it on there for you, if we can get access to it. IT guys sometimes get sideways with us. They want to do it. That's fine too. But get the pixel on your website. The pixel then tags that person. So when they leave and they start going to other websites, other things, other apps, they start seeing ads that come back to your website. And it says here statistically about 70% of the people actually do return back. And we find in most of our campaigns, if you do have a good local strategy, you're getting some good local traffic, you got customers coming to your website, you got new people coming in, you got a Google ad campaign coming, this usually has a really high click-through rate, just because there are people already been to your site once. Oh yeah, I wanted to go back there and get a quote from that guy. So this is a very, very effective way to target. With targeting and with geofencing all this, we also can do conversion zones. So a conversion zone is a geofence for your location or for your showroom. So let's use my Platinum Living example. I targeted 5 other galleries. I had an audience of people who like art. I have people who have a household income over $500,000 a year. I can target people based on those demographics. But what I would do for Platinum Living is I would put a geofence around their gallery location, and if somebody got targeted, however they got targeted, whether it was they went to competitors, they went to an art show, we were geofencing, they were keyword searching and started seeing ads for Platinum Living, and then they physically come to their location, they physically come inside your fence, it shows up as a conversion in your software, in your dashboard. And not only does it work for foot traffic, it also works for web traffic as well. Again, your pixels on your website. Somebody left your website and then they came back, that shows up as a conversion. You know that that person came to your site and now they're back to my site. You can also put a pixel on what we call a form fill page or a thank you page. So if you want to get really technical, and I know Adam loves this stuff with Google, we have a conversion page. So if somebody fills out a form, you know, if they just got to the form, that's not a conversion to me. I want them to fill out the form, and then hit submit, and then the next page says thank you for filling out the form. Well, that thank you page is the conversion page, right? They can't get there unless they fill out the form. So if I put that pixel on that, I can actually see the tracking on their conversions of their online lead forms as well. It's very, very effective. The sixth one, which is probably the loosest one, and it's one where we have to really, we've been doing this now for, I don't know, probably 9 or 10 months. This is the area that we lean on our platform a lot. We also lean on our experience. It's trying to find out the right audience curation for you. Who are the right people that we need to target for you? And a lot of people think, well, I just want to get as specific as possible. What we found is lifestyle things, age, where you live, what kind of home you live in, how big your house is, how big your yard is. All these things are factors we can target. It's just based on not only your geography of where you live, but your demographics, your hobbies and interests. You like quilting. What do you do in your spare time? Those kinds of things play into this audience curation, and we can target many, many different ones. So for example, these are just some examples of them. There's over 5,000 things we can target just in the platform. And if we buy a list outside the platform, we can get even more specific. Again, using my oil change people, you know, that's not going to be in the cloud. That data is not readily available. I can go buy that data, upload it, and that becomes 5,001 traits I can target. But just like census data, age, income, home value, how many people live in the house, life changes, recently divorced, recently married, likely to move in the next 90 days, new parents, recent empty nester. These are all profiles they know based upon your browsing history, and they put these people in these virtual, what they call Lux list, and we can check that list and say, I want to target anybody who just got a divorce because I'm a realtor or I'm a divorce attorney or whatever you are. Hobbies and interests, gardening, music, sports, you volunteer, you like flags, you like to travel, you name it, I can target them. Industry, there's over 20 industry categories. That comes down to things like, are they in manufacturing? Are they a dentist? I've got campaigns right now. One of our clients, they target dentists who are looking to retire and sell their practice. That's a very finite audience of people. You can't really geofence dental practices, then you get the customers and you get the front office staff and you get the salespeople, and they're not looking to sell, it's just trying to get to the dentist. But guess what? We can target dentists, specifically dentists, in any state we want, and we also target them by age. So a guy coming out of dental school who's 22 years old, I want to target him. I want to target the 40-plus-year-old who's been in the racket for 20 years and looking to get out of it and go retire. Also by job title. Again, maybe we just launched a campaign for an HR company, PEO. Well, who hires PEOs? CEOs, CFOs, human resources directors. So we can actually target people by their job description. And we can do multiple of them. In this campaign in particular, we just launched it last week. I think we're targeting about 12 different job titles within companies between 10 and 100 employees. And again, only those people are seeing your ads. It's not a billboard. We're not trying to buy it. Only those people see your ads. Let's talk about costs. Again, we try to be transparent, and I've gone over on my time, so I apologize for that. I told you at the beginning, digital display is the cheapest way to go. I'm making the pricing really simple for you guys. It's $10 CPM, cost per 1,000. So to put that in layman's terms, if I buy 1,000 impressions, it's $10. If I buy 100,000 impressions, that's $1,000. And with digital, unlike magazines, I can make that campaign last for a week, a day, 5 weeks, 2 months, and have that inventory spread out over any amount of time that I want. The minimum spend on doing programmatic with us is $500 per month. That's the minimum. We just don't want to handle anything smaller than that. not because we don't want to deal with you because you're not spending enough money. It's back to Adam's point. It's not going to be successful unless you're buying at least 50,000 impressions. I mean, you're just not going to have the traction you need. You might target people, but they only see one ad. It's at the bottom of the WeatherBug app, and they were in a hurry and never saw you again. So we want to make sure they're seeing repetition in your ads. This is kind of what digital display looks like. There's 5 sizes. We do the artwork for you. You notice when that loaded, it was kind of animated, right? One of the biggest mistakes that we see when people do their own artwork is their flat images. You know, we did this ad in a magazine, so we just scale it down and stick it in a mobile phone. Well, it doesn't look the same, right? They look really bad. And what you'll see with our ads is they're animated. They load. It's called an animated GIF or animated GIF. I'm sorry, Josh in the back. We argue over how you pronounce that all the time, but we do the ad design for you as part of our service. We don't charge extra for that. And if you have different campaigns, so in this particular case, this dentist hired, her name's blanking on me right now, but she's fluent in Spanish. She is from Venezuela. So we actually did this campaign in English, and we targeted English-speaking people within 10 miles of their office. We did a separate campaign. It was all in Spanish, and we only targeted Spanish-speaking mobile devices. So if you were Hispanic and you lived within 10 miles of their practice, you saw this same ad with her picture. It was all in Spanish. It was catered to the user. And we do that as part of our service. Streaming television ads, very popular right now. A lot of you don't have commercial spots, or maybe you've ran them in the past and they're old and outdated. We can help you get those done. But we can buy on any network, any platform except Netflix and Hulu. They have their own platforms. They don't sell into programmatic. They won't let us have access, but we can buy on everybody else. So any streaming platform, this is a sampling of the more popular ones. Of course, it's like ESPN 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. You know, there's a pickleball channel coming from Dave Anderson's group someday. But all of these channels we can buy on. And again, they're only seeing these ads if they've been targeted. So let me stop for 1 second and explain. When I got geofenced, when I went to PetSmart, remember I went home and I saw a commercial that night? What happened was my phone got tagged. I went home, my phone got on the home network. Well, my home network now got tagged. So every device that's on my home IP address, my streaming television, my iPad, my wife's laptop, I have an old PC just for grins and giggles, all of them got tagged because I went home on my home network. So that's where this gets real effective with TV. Instead of buying, $15,000 worth of ads on Comcast and just hoping it works and only targeting Comcast customers, and they can geo-target. They can say we're only in these counties or whatever. All right, we can actually go this next step and put you on any of those platforms, any streaming platform, on any station for anybody who's been tagged through your efforts. $75 CPM is kind of the flat rate. That just kind of gives you guys the idea what it would cost. So again, the minimum spend on this is $500 a month in television. You can't do any less than that. But if you want to buy 100,000, what would it be? Matt can do the math really quick. He's a CPM guy. If I want to buy 100,000 impressions, it'd be $7,500. That's a lot of impressions. And this last couple here, pre-roll video ads, these are the ones that are not streaming through your television but coming through your laptop, your PCs, and all this. You're watching, again, Lisa Marie Presley coming off the red carpet. It was on a website, on a story you saw. You click the video. That pre-roll video, that's what these are. They're about $30 CPM. That's not YouTube, by the way. YouTube's through Google. This is everything else, essentially. And the last one is streaming audio ads. I don't know if there's any podcasters out there, anybody looking for podcast audiences. We can also buy that inventory as well. This is my Taft Law guy, Josh Brown. He's the best franchise attorney in the Midwest. He does Franchise Euphoria podcast. It's the #1 podcast on franchising on iTunes, over 10,000 downloads a month on his podcast show. And he's looking to add more listeners based upon their title. And they're into entrepreneurship, and they're into franchising. And that's it. So this QR code if you guys want it, or also you can just email me, but that will bring up a little form you can fill out on your phone if you want more information or you would like to get some more specifics. I apologize for going a little bit over. We told you to be out here by noon. But at this point in the game, you guys are probably mentally stroked out and smoked and ready to go to get some lunch. With that, I'll bring Corey and Adam back up on the stage and take any last questions you guys might have about anything we talked about this morning. Any questions from the audience? And also we'll be around afterwards, of course, if you guys want to. And we'll email you afterwards, so you guys can ping us an email if you'd like some more information. Any last questions? Do you guys find this informative and good? Yeah. Would you like for us to do more of these kinds of things? Better pastries next time? We'll ask you for some feedback. You guys give it to us anonymously if you want. But I can't thank these guys enough. I can't thank Dave in the back for streaming this thing for us and the live audience that showed up. There was over 30 people watching us live and asking questions in the back. So we want to thank those guys. Josh, I want to check my phone to make sure there's no messages from up in the box. How do you fix the tracking issues in Google Ads? For example, I have a campaign. Users are filling out the landing page form, get the submissions via email, but it doesn't show in GA report. Adam, you want to take that one real quick?
Oh,
you're wired up. Sorry.
Yeah, I still have the. Oh, you can't really hear it as loud. There we go. So, if there's not a thank you page, typically and I don't like this method. There's different ways of going about it, but a lot of times if it's not going to a thank you page, the goal is to track the click on the submit form. And there's different ways to do it, but that's where the error is. And so you have to take that code and make sure that it feeds to Google Analytics correctly. But a lot of times it's wildly inaccurate. So I still stick with the old school method of landing on a thank you page. I know web developers don't like it. And that's where if a web developer isn't willing to do a thank you page, then I'll just bring the client onto an unbounced landing form. That way I can create my own thank you page. And then there's a lot of lost opportunity with thank you pages because you can send people to other parts of your website or encourage them to call if you actually want them to call instead of a contact form. So that's the most accurate way, but I would have to go in, look at it, see what's wrong, and then adjust the conversion tracking.
And we're happy to do Zoom meetings with you guys or meet in person if you guys want to talk about your issues you're having or what you think is a priority. The takeaway that I have from this morning, and you guys will have your own takeaways from this, local search is a big deal. There's a lot of things you guys can do right now with your Google business page that is free. They can really help you a lot. Reviews are bigger than I thought. That was kind of a new eye-opener this morning. And also just having somebody look at your website and tell you, kind of give you an assessment on it. I know when we did this for townpost.com right after we launched the new site, we had Corey go through it. And through the Google Search Console and some other tools that Google has, which are free, we found a lot of really bad links to us. He called them trash links. But people say, hey, I got, they go to the SEMrush and they pull up a report and it says, hey, I got 1,200 links to my website. I'm doing great. And you look at them and 1,100 of them are really bad sites. Like they're trash, they're porn sites, they're just spam sites, they're just trying to get links to you. And so we went in and disavowed a bunch of those links. Over 400 links we disavowed, which means you break that link from them so they can't link to you anymore. And just things like that, cleaning up some of the things. Again, Paul talks about that 1 degree. Just doing little things like that can have a huge impact. So if you need some help, you want some advice, you just want us to look at things, we're more than happy to do that. We're not going to charge you a fee just to look at things and kind of give you some advice and point you in the right direction. I'm a sales guy, but I also own a business, and I can empathize with your problems. I'm not here to monetize you. I'm here to help you. I think I can speak for all three of us here. We feel good when we help other people succeed, and that's our bank account. I don't even know what's in my bank account right now. I couldn't tell you, But I can tell you how many clients I talked to in the last week that email me or call me, or somebody text me this morning and say, this is great, can't wait to hear about this programmatic stuff. Can you do this again? I mean, that's what gives us satisfaction. And I hope you guys will walk away and just know that we're here as a resource if you guys need us. Yeah.
So in the search, there's a discussion about keywords, search terms, intent. But they're all built around words. And we struggle with this all the time at our agency. I want less copy, but someone will give you a creative brief. Here's the search terms that need to be in it. But we don't necessarily, I'm trying to figure out where things cross over. And I'm sure somebody had the magic mix of what words versus whatever, but what kind of guidance would you give if somebody writes or designs websites either for clients, is it less words? I mean, I heard you say design is key, which I love. It's more pertinent words, just trying to get a feel on that.
I'm going to take a first stab at this and then you can jump in. That's a good question. I'm not sure if everybody heard that or not, but
You might want to repeat the question for the people online.
okay. So if I give you the condensed version of what this gentleman's asking is, if you're generating copy, there's always a balance for the human, all right, to consume the copy that's natural and it's enticing. And then, there's the portions that you have to do for the search engines. And there is a fine line and there's a balance for that. And that's kind of what you're asking for, correct? I would answer this. First and foremost, based on whatever content that you're working on, do your research and dig into the analytics. That's going to help guide, one, like total word count, and two, what specific topics that you'll need. And just not to get overly granular, but typically, if you have a specific content piece, you're going to target one primary phrase, maybe two secondary phrases, and then a bunch of related phrases. Now, that comes from your different content tools like ClearScope, SEMrush, others, because you're going to need to build out that content brief. But in terms of length, how much is for the human, how much is for the search engines? I mean, it's kind of a delicate balance. I mean, you could say it's 50-50, 75-25. It depends on the industry, depends on level of competition. But dig into the tools because those will certainly help guide you. And those things are readily available.
Yeah, the SEMrush tool, for example, what I would do, if I was in my agency, before I get the creative brief, I would actually go back and look at the search volumes for what I'm trying to land on. And SEMrush will tell you the word count you need to have and the key phrases you should have to rank highly for that term based upon what's already being ranked high on Google. And then what I would do is I give that to my writer and say, I need between 600 and 800 words, and here's the 3 phrases I need included in there. Once you have that, you can then upload it to SEMrush, and it will score it. And it will actually tell you it scores 80% or higher. I mean, it's you're right on it. You nailed it. If it scores 50% or 50%, it'll make recommendations of what you should do that copy to get higher and get more relevant to that page. So it's the fine line of satisfying Google and satisfying the end user, I think is what you're trying to say. And that balance, you just use the tools as best you can, and at least you know what you're getting into before you walk into it, instead of just doing it and seeing where I rank 6 months from now, and oh man, we missed the mark on that.
So,
yeah, Brandon, there's a question in the back. Yeah.
Is there data available? My question is really going to be about when you can know when to stop targeting. Same with me, I purchased a truck 10 months ago, and I'm still seeing Chevy stopped targeting me because I bought a Chevy. Dodge is still targeting me 6, 7 months later. Is there data to be able to say, hey, the average purchase time for a vehicle is X? So do you stop that, or is it just keep going as long as you're running a campaign? Or what's the average time? You search to go on vacation. The average buying cycle is 6 weeks, and if you stop targeting that person, how does that work?
I'll take this one. So his question for the people watching online was, when does the targeting stop? Like if I went to PetSmart, how long did I see ads? And are they looking at data? Are they looking at analytics? Is there some magic rule that you go by? And when you stop targeting people? If I can plagiarize what you just said. The answer is, the software. So AI, the platform we buy off of, the AI picks the people that are more likely to respond than others. If you've been targeted for your car dealership example, you've been targeted for 3 or 4 months and you haven't clicked on anything and you haven't shown up to the dealership, you're going to roll off their queue and somebody else new who came in the dealership is going to start seeing ads. They'll start showing ads to people who have a better propensity, which is more fresh data, and let these old people who haven't responded yet, they just kind of roll off the dole. And what happens with you with Dodge, you said Dodge, you're seeing more ads now 6 months after the fact. That was a former vehicle or whatever it was you had. So Dodge's national campaigns, they may have a geofence set up on your house for the next 5 years. They know if you're going to buy one Dodge, you might buy another one. And so they're not targeting based on that one purchase. They're targeting based on the fact you bought a Dodge before. And so it just depends on your campaign. I will tell you, as the data, again, it's real time and it's always coming in. So there's always people coming in and out of your fences. There's always people coming in to most likely to move. They just came into that income category. They just moved into a house. Whatever those things are happening. So that real-time data overlays on top of stuff that they know has worked in the past based on conversions. And so it'll show more ads to people who are more likely to convert than people who don't. Quick example. We had, when we're doing geofencing, we could put 15 places we want to geofence. Well, if people from this one place are seeing a lot of impressions, but they're not clicking on anything, but this other place, whoa, those people are clicking and they're also converting. Well, guess what? Those people move to the top of the list. They're going to show more impressions of these people being fenced on this location. And the people who don't respond, not because of them, but because of the location, that's the tactic we're using, they kind of drop to the bottom of the bucket. So what normally happens with our campaigns when we do geofencing, and this is for small businesses, not national campaigns, we'll come up with 10, 15 geofences, and we turn them on and we get them going. And part of the art and the science of this is watching the data and making adjustments as you go. So we'll see some of those places that we thought everybody that went over to my competitor would come to me. Well, they're not. So guess what? Let's just take them off. Let's just quit targeting them. And so that ability to do that kind of real time is the other advantage of digital. In print, once my magazine leaves, that train's gone. The next one's not for another month. But with digital, I can change it on the fly. And we can make those kinds of adjustments on the fly as well. You guys have been great. Thank you so much for coming out. We will thank our guys. Thanks, Dave, in the back, and all of our staff who came out and helped. Thank you, Paul Sylvester, for warming us up. The link will be emailed to you, the presentations, everything. Just check your email tomorrow. And also that survey, if you guys would respond back. We'd love to know what you'd like to learn more about so we can get our future stuff going. Thanks, you guys.
Nicely done, man. Nicely done. You guys should have sent me your presentations. That way I could have made mine look prettier. 'Cause you've been watching